welcome to yet another exciting time out with Olujoke on Let's Talk. Well, today is a very special topic which has actually been flying around, and I feel it is necessary for us to do this talk on Let's Talk. And today, joining me is someone who is all over, but I would like him to introduce himself because he will be able to do justice to that. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm very good.
I'm glad to be here with my sister Olujoke. I'm Joshua Femi Korode. Most people know me as JFK. I just shorten the whole name, make it easier. So I'm an attorney by profession. I am also an event host. I'm an MC. I'm a worship leader, youth minister. Like she said, now I try to wear a lot of hats. Father, husband, by the grace of God. So just out here trying to, live the best life, as they say. But I'm glad to be here.
All right. Thanks for that. Yeah. Now, the actual focus for today is marriage, ultimate death sentence. And why I see it that way is because of so many things that have been happening, especially in Africa, where you see a lot of women killing their husbands. And many women out there looking forward to having one, or some guys are also looking forward to be called a husband. But with this rate of the increased rate of death amongst couples is actually something that calls for attention. Now, I'm sure you've been hearing about it. What would you like to start with on that?
It's sad. It's sad. It's unfortunate. One of the biggest things that concerns me is obviously lives are being lost. And in no situation do I think that should be acceptable. That's my first thing, like lives. I just think that the value that we place on human lives is something that has fallen to a new level, to a new low. In the marriage context is one of the things we're seeing it. But I start off with the general concept of just how we react to loss of life. Because if we don't value individual lives, then we kill for anything. There's nothing stopping us from taking life for anything. And I think that's where it starts. The marriage situation makes it more difficult to swallow because supposedly, you're in a relationship with someone for whom you care or who cares for you. And even if you don't start off that way, acknowledging that some marriages are arranged, some offer convenience, some are, some just, they didn't start out right. Giving room for all of that. I just think that if you live with someone, if you share anything with someone, it should put that person in a place where they should be, how do I put it, on a separate list of people you just don't hurt. So to now find out, like you said, that not only are couples, spouses killing spouses, they're just doing it at a rate that makes you wonder, is it something about marriage that induces this kind of violence and ultimately death? So that I think is what bothers me, is the inability to separate out life generally as something not to harm, and then the life of someone that you're in a relationship with. Like how is it that we're no longer able to put these people in the category of people I don't hurt?
Okay. Actually went through some social media comments and all, and I have a couple that I would like to we will discuss on. The first thing is a pastor shot his wife. This one is from the male partner at a church and killed himself because she preached a powerful message. Now, in the spiritual aspect, a man of God that is supposed to uphold the tenets of religion in the aspect of being born again, being a child of God, killing his wife out of jealousy and then killing himself.
I think I ran through that story too, and like I said, it just adds to the layer of what I was saying before. So not only do you have someone taking a life, you have someone taking the life of his spouse, and you have the person taking the life of that spouse being a pastor. And then after that, he's taking her life after she delivers a sermon, a message. So it's layers upon layers of unbelievable actions. And I think we started by understanding that at the bottom of it all is a human being. Is a person who is flawed, who is probably going through something in himself. And I know people think, oh, a pastor. But
exactly. That's the
yeah. But we
the
just
saddest part of it.
I think we deceive ourselves with that.
Because they're supposed to know better.
I mean,
That's what people think.
even that is a deception. Like you and I know
Yeah.
that if I'm a family member of a pastor, I know him. You know your brother who's now the pastor, who's all that, who's the big minister. You've known him way before he became a pastor, most likely.
Yeah.
You know he gets angry. Or you know that he has issues with people talking to his wife. So the challenge is a pastor. Let's reduce it down to a Christian. At the end of the day, he's still a believer. That's what we're expecting and hoping. And so the challenges that believers face, I think, is that many of us are not perfect, if not all of us. So whatever it is that God is dealing with in your life that He hasn't finished sorting out, be careful that monster doesn't reach out once in a while and show itself.
It's true.
Yeah.
Another one says a doctor was assaulted by his wife. She named him and called his mom to come get him. That one I saw.
Listen,
she cut the tongue, the nose, and
I put it.
I don't know another one that the lady cut off his man.
Yeah, the private parts. Yeah, because he's trying to make a point.
Wow.
Here's what I mean. That's where I guess some of my experience as a former prosecutor comes in.
Okay.
There are crime scenes that you show up to, or that the police bring into the office, that you can tell right away that there's something going on here, more than just what it appears. So it's one thing to kill someone.
Okay.
It's some of the things that the prosecutor looks at and the police look at is, how did you kill this person? How was this person killed? Or what are some of the signs of the killing that can point to whether or not it was deliberate, accidental, or something beyond that? Was it for a ritual? Was it to make a point? Was it done in extreme anger? And that's how sometimes you separate an individual killing from serial killings.
Okay.
Because you see a pattern. So you have a serial killer who has a certain way of killing people. And, not to get too gruesome, but so when you see someone killing their husband, cutting off the tongue, cutting off this and that, you're going to deeper recesses of somebody's mind. There's a mental element to this particular crime. There's a mental component. There's an emotion attached to this that you would have to sit the person down and ask them, like psychoanalyze, like,
why did you do
what was going through your mind? Did he say something that made you decide he deserves to lose his tongue? For the man who had been cut off, we can guess that's where he offended.
Yeah.
So she focused on the scene of the crime.
It's true. But does it have to get to that level?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I think we should stop expecting someone who kills their spouse to be rational. So I can look at it, and you and I can objectively look at that, like as if we're watching a soap opera.
Really?
And say, how does it get to that level? But internally, for the person dealing with it, she's not doing all that calculation that we're doing. It's a moment, it's an opportunity, it's an emotion, and it's done.
Wow.
That person themselves might come out of it and ask the same question, like, why did I do that? But I guess the hope is that we get to a point where we don't get there. And what can we do to keep our relationships from getting to that point? What are the signs that are early enough that we can see, that we can say, okay, this thing could end up in a bad place, and then what can we do?
Another one poured acid on her husband because she caught him cheating. Now, you talked about the first one. You said, okay, she actually dealt with the aspect where, now the face.
Yeah, I mean, it's still worse for what I'm trying to describe. Meaning, like, it's because, okay,
maybe because we were looking too much for
apart from that, it could be either that. I mean, let me put it this way. It's a sad story where you read it. I'll be honest with you right now. I have reduced the amount of social media information I consume personally. I would say in the last year, just been personally busy.
There's lots of lives.
I've been busy personally. So what I've done is I've not been able, but it's caused me an opportunity to look at social media and just say, I can't handle the information because I'm the kind of person I immediately put myself in the position of the person. When I read the story of the someone having that acid poured on him, by nature I react with the whole feeling like, how does that feel? To just have something like that poured on your skin. and to have your body burned, and then to have it done to you by someone that you live with.
Really?
And and the question now becomes, if someone is cheating on you, again, I will not ever presume to lecture someone who's been cheated on.
Why?
Because I'm not them.
Okay.
And the way it affects them,
You wouldn't know.
we're not twins. Even if we were identical twins, we wouldn't feel the same way.
Like someone used to say that I can't tell you how to run your home because your wife or your husband is not mine.
That's exactly
Like,
right.
So there's no way, there's no manual.
Listen, that's the phrase I was going to say. I always refrain from giving any generic advice, because the whole point of this thing is that we are all extremely unique. Now, there's some things that we should all hopefully agree on, like don't kill. That's all the basic things. Don't harm someone else. But I always say you can't control people's actions.
Yeah.
You can work on your own reactions, but so when you have someone pouring acid on their spouse, and you look at it and you say, okay, you're inflicting this level of pain on this person. Maybe your goal is to make sure that from this point for the rest of their lives, they will experience profound regret for what they did. Maybe you're also thinking, well, maybe because you're decent to look at, that you're a catch for someone else. If I destroy your appearance, no one else will ever look at you again. And you will never be able to look at anyone again the same way. So it's almost like a mix of emotions. And but it comes down to the question I always have is that the only way to respond to like being cheated on?
I think that's just the first thing that runs into people, because normally the way humans are fashioned is when someone hurts you, the first thing you want to do is revenge.
Yeah.
And thank God for the word of God.
Yes.
That we shouldn't do that.
Right,
Instead, we should turn the other cheek, right?
Right.
But I think the reason why you two can reason this way is because your mindset has changed,
Right.
and then you are accountable to a higher calling.
Right.
But some people who are also accountable to a higher calling can also fall victim of this circumstance, maybe due to depression.
Yes.
Or now that's why it is necessary for you to be able to talk to people.
Definitely.
There was a time where people cannot open up to a counselor.
Exactly.
People cannot talk, especially in Africa,
Exactly.
where even if you do that, you will be tagged or something, labeled as.
There's going to be a stigma attached to you. That's
exactly.
True.
But thank God for the generation that we are in.
Yeah.
But despite it all, we still have all of this as.
I think because the fundamental problem, I don't know if it can ever be resolved, which is we are broken. We are broken. Now, what for those of us who are believers, what the whole process of being born again and being saved, what it does is, by the grace of God, it begins a process of the mending of what's broken about us. That's my understanding of giving your life to Christ and following His word, because it's not only a question of obeying what God says, it's a question of receiving the power to obey.
To obey, yeah, it's true.
Because you're not naturally disposed to obey.
Exactly.
And that's why someone said, when Paul says, wives, submit to your husbands, and that's a touchy subject for a lot of people. But I said the verse that deals with the husbands too, it's really equally touchy, but we don't dwell on it, which is husbands, love your wives. Because the only reason he said that is because dudes don't love their wives. So you have to turn it into a command.
Exactly, because it's not easy.
Like dudes, I'm telling you, you need to love them. It's like giving them an admonition. So if it says husbands submit to your wives submit to your husbands, it's precisely because it's not a natural inclination. Because first of all, as a woman, I believe you're an individual yourself. You have your own dreams, hopes, and aspirations, qualifications, and for someone to tell you to subject that to someone else, you have a lot of questions. Who's this dude that I'm submitting to? What has he done to earn my submission? I don't even know if he's smart enough.
Exactly.
So you have legitimate questions. So the admonition is, it's supposed to work in a cycle.
All right.
If I love my wife the way this dude is describing, this Paul guy, like Christ loved the church, that's a different level of love. Because, we know Christ died for the church he loved, and he's still doing everything to make sure she's okay.
Exactly.
So as a dude, have I done that? Am I ready to do that? If I'm not ready to die, then if she's not submitting, now she understands.
All right, let's hold it there. Well, this is actually something that is very wide and broad, and I'm sure we can't cover the talk at this time. Let's join me next time where we'll continue with this next time, and I know JFK will also be here. Definitely is here, and we'll be able to do better the next time with other things that we have in store for you. It's indeed very sensitive, but I would plead for you to actually take out time to watch this video and watch the other one that is coming. It's still marriage, ultimate death sentence. Join us next time.